Okay, we're up to Siman Yudalin in the Mechaber. The Shulchan Aruch says, Tzitzis she'asan ein Yehudi. If the tzitzis were hung in the beged by a non-Jew, puzzle, a non-Jew is not able to put the tzitzis into the corners of the beged. T'chsiv dabrel b'nei Yisrael lafuk ein Yehudi. It says b'nei Yisrael in the pasuk as opposed to goy. Mishnah Berurah points out something very interesting, and he says, Av dafke im tachboi beknaf ayasa chulya kesherishin. Amachui bekesherishin asa Yisrael. The only problem is if the guy puts it into the corner of the beged, hangs the strings, or in addition to hanging the strings, or someone else hangs the strings, he does the first knot, or you have the knot, and then you have the chulya, the first braid, and then the second knot. That first grouping of knot, braid, knot is deraisa. The rest of it, the second braid, the third braid, the fourth braid, all of that, that's just hider mitzvah. That can actually be done by a guy. So the guy can finish the braiding. He just can't begin it. Now, what about, says the Rama Vayter, the Shulchan Aruch says, Va'isha ksher la'asosim, but a woman is allowed to hang the tzitzis. Now, a woman is definitely allowed to spin the strings. The question is, could she put it in the beged and make the tzitzis with the knots and the chulias? The Shulchan Aruch says, yes. Says the Rama, the Rama says that there are those that are machmir that require men to actually make the tzitzis. You should have a man do it and not a woman. Now this is obviously very, very negeya. Right after the war started, when they needed tzitzis for the soldiers because they brought up so many soldiers, so there was a shaila of can women do it? So Rav Asher Weiss said, you see from over here the mechaber is mekel. The Rama is machmir l'chachila. But b'di'eved, the Mishnah Berurah says b'di'eved, it's kosher. So, l'chora, Asher Weiss said that in a matzav of a war is a matzav b'di'eved because they don't have enough tzitzis. So if it was just a regular situation, you just randomly want to have that women make it for the soldiers, but there's enough tzitzis to go around if men could do it, then it's l'chachil, we don't do it. But in a matzav where there's low on begadim and low on manpower and they need women to do it, it's a matzav b'di'eved, it's perfectly fine. That was the psak from Asher Weiss. Now it says the Mishnah Berurah, some are machmir that men have to do it. The issue is, it's not a matter of we don't trust women to do it. Kavana, it says v'asu b'nei Yisrael, and not benos Yisrael. That's the opinion to be machmir. Now, the Mishnah Berurah points out, and additionally, it's also better not to have a child under bar mitzvah make the tzitzis. If he's 13, then it's fine, even though it's possible that he's not physically mature, but we assume that he's mature physically. But if he's under bar mitzvah, the first opinion of the Mishnah Berurah is to be machmer. Then the Mishnah Berurah says, I believe, make afilu chachili dekatan. He's actually makel that under bar mitzvah can do it. Now it's only mutter for a child to do it if there's an adult there who says do lishma, because if there's no adult reminding him to do l'shem mitzvah tzitzis, then it's for sure a problem. But if there's an adult there, can a child under bar mitzvah make the tzitzis? It's a machlokes in the Mishnah Berurah. Again, we're machmir l'chachila. The mechaber says in Beis, hitel Yisrael tzitzis bebeged beloy kavana. If a Yisrael puts on the tzitzis without kavana, Mishnah Berurah says, what do you mean like kavana? Again, we're talking about putting the strings in, and the first knot, and the first chulya, and the second knot, that first grouping, you need to have kavana. Now, if you have kavana for that, the rest that you don't have kavana, it's going to be kosher. But we're talking about that initial grouping. If a person does not have kavana, says the mechaber, then the truth is it's a problem. But if you don't have any other beged, the Rambam is mekel even if it's shaloilish without kavana, because the Rambam shita is that the only thing that needs to be kavana is the spinning of the thread, but the actual making the knots and the chulya and all that doesn't need kavana. Now, although we don't paskin like the Rambam, if you have no other tzitzis, you could wear the beged and rely on the Rambam, but it says lo yivarach aleh, but you can't make a bracha because Safek brachas, because again, according to the other Rishonim, it's possible. According to the Rambam, it's kosher. So you can wear the beged because according to the Rambam, you can make a mitzvah, but you can't make a bracha on it. Now, the Mishnah Berurah points out, here's a kasha. Ein loyma yatir mebeged. He just has a question. Why are we relying on the Rambam? Undo it, and then make it again. It takes some time, but it's not crazy. Says the Mishnah Berurah, we're talking about a situation where it's close to Shabbos, you don't have time. But obviously, if you have time, then you would have to redo it and not rely on the Rambam. The Bir Halacha points out in Added Chiddush that he said, let's say you didn't say the words l'shem mitzvah, but you thought it, so that you could rely that it's kosher and you can even make a bracha on it. He says, first of all, because it's a svek sveika. Safik, according to the Rami, you don't need kavanah at all. And even if you hold, not like the Rami, you need kavanah, perhaps machshav is enough, and therefore you're able to make a bracha even on a svek sveika. He adds another chiddush. Let's say the first, he says, da'oi dinirli, da'afilim ha'kavanah l'shma loheya rak betliya sitzis rishayna. Let's say you only had kavanah mefurish by the first tzitzis, and the rest of the beggar you didn't really think, you just said stam. The halach is you can make a bracha, because we say, kol ha'ois al das rishayna oisa, which means that we assume that the rest of the beged is just a continuation of how it started. If you had kavanah in the beginning, then as long as you didn't have negative kavanah, then we assume it's lishma. He ends off by saying the best thing is before you do the beged, you say, I want all the corners to be l'shem mitzvah tzitzis, then you have no shayla, then you don't have to make yourself crazy. That's obviously l'chachila, a very, very good eitzah to avoid any problem.